Death, almost everyone fears it, but we cannot escape the fact that we will eventually face it. That's why we hope for a death with as little suffering as possible. But for John Jones, this hope didn't hold. He endured maybe one of the worst possible deaths known to humankind, to hang upside down for hours in a narrow cave, alone, until he was gone. This is the Nutty Putty Cave tragedy. A word of warning, this story is not for the faint of heart. On November 24, 2009, the Jones family decided to explore Nutty Putty Cave as a holiday adventure. John Jones, accompanied by 10 friends and family, ventured into the Nutty Putty Cave system near their Salt Lake City residence. Their excursion swiftly took a terrifying turn. What started as an exciting outing evolved into one of the most unusual and chilling deaths in caving history, leading to the permanent closure of Nutty Putty Caves, forever sealing its depths away from the world, forever. The Nutty Putty Caves, initially explored in 1960, gained a reputation for their narrow, slippery passageways filled with twists and turns. Accessible through a mere 30-inch wide opening, this cave system was considered a popular choice for beginners, attracting between 5,000 to 25,000 visitors yearly. Unlike the conventional limestone caves, shaped by water trickling from above, Nutty Putty was a result of a different process. Its formation emerged from intense hydrothermal activity, where heated water forcefully carved its way into limestone beds, sculpting the cave shafts from the ground upwards. Paulson, a Nutty Putty caver, explains the complexity of hypergenic caves like Nutty Putty, featuring domes and intricate passages. The cave's hallmark was its tight squeezes leading to expansive rooms, a testament to its hypergenic nature. Nutty Putty's consistent temperature of 55 degrees Fahrenheit, 12.7 degrees Celsius, throughout the year, and its depth of 145 feet, 44 meters, from the surface were among its remarkable attributes. However, what truly stood out was the peculiar clay on its walls, reminiscent of the malleability of Nutty Putty or silly putty when lightly manipulated. But despite its allure, Nutty Putty lured inexperienced explorers, leading to several mishaps. Between 1999 and 2004, 6 individuals found themselves trapped in its narrow passageways, earning ominous nicknames like the Helmet Eater and the Birth Canal. Though these incidents fortunately concluded without fatalities, they raised serious concerns. Following 4 tragic deaths in a nearby cave, authorities took action, closing Nutty Putty in 2006 due to safety worries. It wasn't until May 2009, with a strict reservation system and limited entry, that the cave reopened under the management of the Timpanogos Grotto. These incidents prompted officials to question the cave's safety. In May 2006, the cave entrance was gated, sparking disputes between local cavers and authorities. While officials labeled the cave a ticking time bomb, arguing for its closure, local cavers advocated for personal responsibility and safety measures. Public debates ensued, with some passionately defending the cave's accessibility. The closure debate persisted until September 2007, when the caves were officially shut down. However, a new management plan led to the cave's reopening in March 2009, implementing stricter safety procedures such as permit applications and group size restrictions. The cave boasted various areas of interest, including the maze room, with openings and tunnels around large boulders, and the slide, a steeply sloped area requiring a rope guide. Some sections, like the Birth Canal or Aorta Crawl, were particularly challenging, attracting only experienced cavers due to their tight and difficult passages. Despite the known challenges, incidents of individuals getting stuck in these tunnels continued, emphasizing the cave's risky nature. John Jones, a 26-year-old medical student and dedicated family man, returned home to Utah for the holidays with his pregnant wife and young daughter. He was a devout follower of the Mormon faith. John, along with his brother Josh Jones, hadn't previously explored the Nutty Putty Caves. Despite spending much of their childhood exploring caves in Utah, they hadn't indulged in spelunking for years. As a child, John had volunteered as a simulated victim for the Utah Cave Rescue Team, a group his father helped establish. However, the brothers' lack of recent caving experience sparked debate about their suitability as experienced cavers for their group. Permits required a minimum of 2 experienced cavers per group. John's busy life, juggling responsibilities as a husband, father, and medical student, led to no time for cave exploration, raising doubts about his and Josh's readiness to meet the cave's requirements. John and Josh, accompanied by their family and friends, entered the cave around 8 p.m. local time. Initially, everything proceeded smoothly. They explored the largest room in the cave, known as the Big Slide. However, things took a turn when Josh and 2 friends decided to venture deeper into the cave, specifically the challenging area referred to as the birth canal. This part of the cave was incredibly narrow, allowing only a select few to pass through. The birth canal passage led to a small room after a series of tight squeezes. Even though several people had gotten stuck in this passage before, John, a healthy and slender man, wasn't overly concerned. He led the way, with his brother Josh following closely behind. Referring to the map, they anticipated a long, narrow passage. They knew it would be challenging, inducing panic even for seasoned cavers. They spread out, exploring different tunnels. John and Josh chose the left passage, which twisted and turned, requiring them to maneuver through tight spaces and rock outcroppings. The passage, known as the corkscrew, demanded more than just force. It required precise maneuvers, twisting shoulders, hips, and legs to progress through the constricting space. This segment, known as the corkscrew, posed a challenge. Previous explorers had been small and flexible, using their skills to navigate slowly through the panic-inducing twists. Beyond the corkscrew, the passage inclined for about 5 feet before sharply bending over a rock ledge with a 90 degrees turn to the left. This section had caused trouble in the past. 5 years earlier, a teenager named Brock Clark had become wedged while attempting to turn back, resulting in a 14-hour rescue operation. John found himself in the same spot where Brock got stuck. But being taller and heavier, John understood that turning around wasn't an option. In this confined space, merely 12 inches high, and lacking lateral room, he knew he had to forge ahead. Pushing forward towards the ledge, John squeezed over it. It was a tight fit, but he glimpsed an opening below. With his stomach in, he wriggled through the squeeze, pulling forward on the rocks. Moving headfirst at a downward angle, John realized he was venturing into unexplored territory. In an incredibly tight and uncomfortable position, John tried to stay composed, convinced there would be an opening ahead. He navigated through what he believed to be part of the birth canal, a constricting tunnel that many cavers had safely passed through. As he slid down, he found himself nearly upside down, struggling against gravity, his 200-pound body straining against his weakening arms. He yelled out to his brother Josh, urging him not to follow, but to retreat. After discussing his options, they agreed moving forward to attempt a turnaround was his best shot. Collapsing onto his shoulders and head, he glimpsed a hole in the floor, perhaps leading to a larger space. Hopeful that this ordeal would be a dinner-table fun talk, John made a slight turn towards the hole, though how he got into this predicament remained a mystery. Whether he slipped and wedged himself, or misjudged the hole as an escape, John found himself stuck in a tiny opening, only 18 by 10 inches, practically upside down at a 70-degree angle. Struggling to free himself, John realized his efforts were futile. His legs were wedged in the narrowest part of the hole, rendering him completely trapped in a space not much larger than a small front-loading washing machine. John made several attempts to break free, but it was to no avail. It was at this point that he began calling out for his brother. Realizing his predicament, John began calling out for Josh, his brother, desperately seeking aid. Josh understood the urgency. Hearing John's yells confirmed the severity of the situation. He retraced the corkscrew path, this time feet first, inching closer to John's voice. At last, Josh reached a disturbing sight, an end of John's leg protruding from the rocks, seemingly swallowed by the tunnel. He tried pulling John's leg while John pushed from his end, but their efforts were futile and left them both exhausted and disheartened. It became evident they needed professional help. Josh decided to seek assistance, while John attempted to remain composed. A family friend stayed with John, assuring him he wasn't alone. For hours, John remained stuck upside down, focused on his breathing. Gravity pressed against his chest, making shallow breaths the only option. Despite his efforts to move up, he found himself sinking deeper into the crevice, his strength fading with each passing moment. After Josh rushed out to call 911, he returned to the cave where John was still pinned. It would be 3 more long hours before rescue arrived at 12:30 a.m. The first responder, Susie Motola, a local volunteer, hurried to the site upon receiving an urgent message on her pager. Susie quickly realized that John's situation was far more dire than anticipated. She approached John, aiming to maintain his composure. Assuring him he'd soon be free, John expressed his earnest desire to escape the predicament. Susie exhaustively attempted various methods to extract John, including cutting off parts of his jeans to create more space. After 2 hours of strenuous efforts yielding no success, Susie, worn out, retreated to the surface. By this time, John's wife, daughter, and about 30 rescuers had gathered at the scene, eagerly awaiting an update. At the scene, a group, visibly anxious yet composed, deliberated on various rescue strategies. They explored unconventional ideas, from contemplating breaking John's legs to coating the cave walls with gallons of oil. Finally, they settled on a plan using ropes and pulleys to extricate John, starting with his legs. This method involved drilling the rock around John to create more room. As team members ventured towards John with the necessary equipment, complications arose. The rock proved stubborn, reluctant to yield quickly. Moreover, the danger of dislodged rocks falling onto John's location complicated the rescue effort. Meanwhile, at the surface, the growing rescue team, now in the hundreds, grew increasingly worried. Each journey to transport equipment to John's 700-foot-deep location took a painstaking hour, with only one person permitted in the passage at a time. Adding to the grim scenario, when the on-site trauma surgeon, Doug Murdoch, learned that John was upside down, he cautioned the team that John might have only 10 hours before organ failure. The human body is naturally adapted to function in an upright position. When upside down, gravity alters how blood and fluids circulate. Fluid begins to accumulate in critical areas, like the brain and lungs, making breathing extremely challenging. Additionally, the heart, working against gravity, struggles to pump blood effectively. Susie, the first rescuer, also noticed concerning signs within the first hour. A distinct rattling sound emitted from John's chest, indicating fluid buildup in his lungs. John was already showing signs of respiratory distress. The rescue team focused on getting John out of his precarious position to relieve pressure on his lungs. Their initial efforts with ropes and pulleys faced multiple setbacks. John's legs couldn't bend back around the curved passage he had slipped into. Moreover, the rock's edge that he had squeezed past caught on his chest, making it an excruciatingly tough spot to be stuck. Despite these challenges, they managed to slightly elevate John and administer IV fluids. However, the first pulley system failed, and John slid back into his original position. At this point, John was fluctuating between calm and panic. To keep him calm, a 2-way cable radio was brought into the cave, allowing him to talk with his wife. After 19 hours, a team of 8 prepared for another attempt. Each pull was excruciating for John, pausing several times to prevent further injury. But on the third pull, there was a glimmer of hope. John was lifted high enough to make eye contact with his rescuer. Although weary and in pain, John managed to smile through his discomfort. As the team prepared for what was to be the fourth pull, disaster struck. A crucial part of the raising system failed, causing Jones to fall back into the area where he'd been trapped. The impact of this failure caused chaos. The lead rescuer was hit in the face by the crumbling cave, leading to a blackout. John, now unresponsive, slid back into the narrow fissure. The situation became more difficult. A second lead rescuer stepped in, managing to slip a rope around John's waist but becoming trapped himself. In a desperate attempt, he sustained multiple injuries while seeking assistance from the team. Despite a last-ditch effort to drill away the rock around John, the team was exhausted. John, barely breathing and unresponsive, had gone into cardiac arrest. Tragically, their efforts fell short, and there was nothing more they could do. At this juncture, Emily, John's wife, received the grim news. Though John was technically alive, he remained unconscious. Desperate and clinging to hope, Emily encouraged him to rest, hoping he could push through once more. Though rescuers couldn't officially confirm, they sensed the inevitable. A paramedic descended, confirming the dreaded truth. At 11:56 p.m. on November 25, 2009, John Edward Jones was pronounced dead. John's astonishing survival for 28 hours in an inverted position defied expectations, 3 times longer than anticipated. Despite initial disbelief from Emily, officials assured her and vowed to retrieve John's body from the cave. The rescue team discussed challenging plans to extract John's body, yet even if freed, it was clear his lifeless form couldn't be safely maneuvered out. Given the dangers and complexities, sealing the cave entrance with concrete and preserving John's remains inside forever became the heart-wrenching resolution. In remembrance of John, his family had a plaque installed at the cave's entrance, a lasting tribute to his memory. They described John as more than a pediatric cardiologist in training. He was a devoted husband, father, son, and brother. His legacy would forever embody his good-natured spirit, infectious humor, unwavering work ethic, and genuine affection for people. Notably, they acknowledged his extraordinary rapport with children, a testament to his innate ability to connect with them. His profound faith in the gospel of Jesus Christ underscored his life, guiding his actions and values. Above all, John's commitment to his family stood out, an exceptional husband and father whose love and dedication knew no bounds. Nowadays, Nutty Putty Cave is closed off. No one's allowed in. The cave's entrance is sealed shut, like a big locked door. It's a reminder of what happened to John, keeping people away. Inside, it's all quiet. No more people exploring. Nature's taking over, covering the entrance with moss and plants. It's like the cave's taking a long nap. The cool rock formations inside. They're still there, growing very slowly, but nobody's seeing them now. The cave is left alone forever. Outside, signs tell people to stay away. It's a way to make sure nobody gets hurt like John did. It's a sad place now, reminding everyone of what happened. Nutty Putty Cave becomes like a quiet memorial, reminding us to be careful and respect places like this, where nature's in charge. John's remains, resting within the depths of the cave, stand as an enduring testament to the very real risks associated with cave exploration. His tragic fate serves as a haunting reminder, echoing through time, underscoring the profound dangers that accompany the allure of cave systems. Despite the passage of time, the unyielding truth remains: exploring caves carries an inherent risk, a stark reality etched in the history of John's untimely demise. If you enjoyed this video, do like and subscribe.